For decades, the standard financial advice has been identical. Buying a home is the ultimate cornerstone of wealth, and renting is simply throwing money away. But what does the actual math dictate? Today, we are analyzing the precise data behind buying versus renting. No emotion, no cultural myths. We are putting two identically funded individuals head-to-head over a 30-year timeline. One buys a median-priced American home. The other rents and invests in the S&P 500. By the end of this period, historical market data shows that the renter's portfolio actually outgrows the homeowner's net worth by nearly $750,000. Here is exactly how the numbers break down. The argument for buying a home usually centers around one concept. When you rent, you pay someone else's mortgage. While true, this argument frequently ignores the unrecoverable costs that homeowners pay to banks, governments, and contractors. These are known in economics as sunk costs. When you rent, your rent is the maximum you will pay for housing that month. When you buy, your mortgage is strictly the minimum. Let's model a $400,000 home, aligning with current U.S. median prices. You secure a standard 30-year fixed mortgage at a 7% interest rate. Over 30 years, you don't just pay down the principal. You will pay over $360,000 in interest alone. You will pay an average of 1.1% per year in property taxes, 1% in maintenance, and 0.3% in insurance. These are entirely unrecoverable outlays. They don't build equity. They are simply the cost of holding the asset. To analyze the outcome, we create a level playing field. Meet Person 1 and Person 2. Both possess exactly $92,000 in liquid cash. Person 1 uses his $92,000 to cover a 20% down payment plus closing costs on our $400,000 house. His principal and interest payment is roughly $2,129 per month. Person 2 takes a different path. He rents an equivalent property for exactly $2,000 a month. Because he didn't buy the house, he immediately takes his $92,000 in cash and invests it into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. To be brutally conservative, we project his returns at 8.5% annually to account for taxes and fund fees. But Person 2 doesn't stop there. He executes a strict capital allocation strategy. Person 1 isn't just paying his mortgage. When factoring in property tax, insurance, and maintenance, Person 1's actual monthly housing cost averages around $2,929 in the first year. Person 2's rent is only $2,000. That means Person 2 has an extra $929 of free cash flow every single month. Person 2 takes that exact difference and invests it into the market alongside his initial capital. Every time Person 1's taxes or maintenance costs go up over the years, Person 2 matches that exact expense in his ledger and invests the difference instead. We model Person 2's rent to increase by 3% every year due to inflation, while Person 1's home value appreciates at a historical average of 4% per year. The baseline is set. Let's run the simulation. The 30-year clock starts. In the first 10 years, Person 1's home appreciates at 4%, building substantial equity. Person 2's rent increases steadily under inflation. By year 10, the race is mathematically close. But over the following 2 decades, geometric progression takes over. Person 1 continues to allocate capital to his mortgage, taxes, and maintenance. By year 30, Person 1 pays off the mortgage entirely. His original $400,000 house has reached a market value of nearly $1.3 million. However, let's examine Person 1's total cost. Over 30 years, Person 1 paid his $92,000 up front, $320,000 in principal, and a staggering $996,000 in unrecoverable sunk costs. He spent nearly $1 million simply maintaining and financing the structure. Now look at Person 2. With a 3% annual increase, Person 2 spent $1.14 million on rent. Both men experienced roughly the equivalent amount of unrecoverable cash outflow. But because Person 2 invested his initial capital and consistently invested the monthly difference between his rent and Person 1's true home ownership costs, his portfolio experienced compounding. At the end of year 30, Person 2's investment portfolio reaches a value of $2,026,000. Even after adjusting the market returns down to account for taxes, the renter's portfolio outperforms the homeowner's net worth by roughly $728,000. In economics, this difference illustrates opportunity cost. When capital is locked into the equity of a house, it is deprived of the opportunity to grow in highly productive assets like the broader stock market. A house requires constant capital injection for maintenance and taxes. A stock index is a dynamic collection of businesses designed to generate compound growth. It is critical to understand the limitations of these models. This mathematical outcome relies entirely on absolute discipline. The simulation mandates that the renter strictly invests the difference every single month for 3 decades. In reality, behavioral finance shows that many individuals struggle to maintain this level of savings, often redirecting extra cash flow toward lifestyle inflation. For many, a 30-year mortgage functions as a forced savings mechanism, systematically building behavioral equity that might otherwise be spent. This analysis does not determine which choice is right for your individual circumstances. It simply highlights that depending on capital allocation, renting can be a mathematically viable wealth-building strategy, not just thrown away money. The data indicates that the math of wealth is often more nuanced than conventional advice suggests. If you want to evaluate the exact breakdown of these calculations, the link to our models is below. We analyze the mathematics of finance and economics here every week. Thank you for watching.